welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundy, we're gonna jump right into it. We've got a decent couple of things to talk about today, and I know you had something that you wanted to start us off with right off the top.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a little bit of a wordy thing here because this is from Sportsnet, and we know Sportsnet doesn't love to give info the easiest way possible. Um, it's a little bit of news outside the NHL, so maybe that's why. This happened yesterday, on March 20th, and it was a university hockey game in Canada, U Sports, and history was made as Toronto Metropolitan University defeated Mount Royal University in a game, and It was the longest game in national university men's hockey history at 143 minutes and 43 seconds. I don't know the
Wow,
exact timestamp, but 5 overtimes, basically,
five
and the previous
overtimes.
record was 116 minutes and 11 seconds, so a good bit longer than the previous record for the longest game, to take place within, men's university hockey, so just wanted to highlight that as that's pretty crazy. I believe they said the game
Yeah,
started around 1 p.m., and it was, like, 8 p.m. by the time the game ended.
yeah. No, that's absolutely crazy. And the closest thing we've seen recently is I believe it was the Hurricanes and Panthers went to three overtimes in the playoffs, and then before that, the Lightning and the Blue Jackets went to five overtimes. But those are not only NHL players with NHL conditioning, they also by the end of the game, majority of the players, if not all of them, they were getting IVs in between periods and stuff. They were being taken care of, right, by professional medical help and their resources. So I have no idea what these guys would have had access to, but I can't imagine it's the same level as in the NHL. So absolute props to those guys, and I I got to imagine it's rough for especially the goalies whenever for whichever team loses, especially playing almost 3 games worth of hockey, and then when that final puck goes in, that's got to be brutal.
Yeah, I completely agree, and the final score was 5-4, so it's kinda crazy that, you know, both teams had 4 goals by the end of regulation, and then the goalies just shut the door, and nothing was getting by them for, um, overtime period after overtime period after overtime period, so pretty cool to see, and it's cool to see, more, university college hockey stuff getting, out there in Canada. Is basically anytime we ever hear of any news regarding this kind of stuff, it usually comes from the States, as their, you know, college hockey programs and whatnot are at a way higher level. Um, Both I
Yeah,
think in terms of skill and in just, national attention.
yeah, and I think it's one thing that kind of begets the other. College and university sports are just so big in the states, and we just don't really think about them too much up here. We think about the CHL, the WHL and stuff like that a lot more often. So people aren't super familiar with a lot of the collegiate level stuff up here. But yeah, no, they still got a good bit of talent on either side of the border for that. And yeah, that's a wild stat. I didn't hear about that.
But we can move forward from that. We can move over into some NHL action, as we've got quite a bit of news over the last couple weeks. Let's just rip the band-aid off as we're following along with it. We're giving out updates every episode as the number continues to shrink. Alex Ovechkin now only 7 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record.
Yep.
Six
And
just to tie it. Like that's
yeah,
7, and he breaks it. So we're really on the home stretch here.
yeah, we really are. And um, I've been on the record as, compared to a lot of people, I am not as huge of an Ovechkin fan as a lot of people are in hockey. One thing I will say that I have always respected the fuck out of Ovechkin for is that he genuinely loves to score goals. This guy just scored, so he's 7 away from breaking it. So what is that? His 888th goal? And
Yeah, 888.
dude scored it. He's by the way, we're also going to talk about this, but the Capitals winning that game, first team to clinch a playoff berth this year. So they're like leading the league in points. He scored 887 goals at the time. He scores a first period goal where he's just over on the far side of the crease. It just comes over to him, empty net. The goalie had no chance. First period against the Flyers, who are either 7th or 8th in their division. Dude turns around and frickin' sellies like he scored a playoff goal. And that is not a diss at all. Like, dude just loves scoring goals. And I just respect the hell out of that. Like, the fact that he still just gets so hyped for it, like, even as someone who's not really an Ovi fan, that gasses me up. Like, that's so cool that he's just still freaking pumped every time.
Dude, he's just a beast. He just loves tucking home goals. It's also worth noting that, you know, and it goes to show the kind of guy that Ovi is, right? Like, people are the crowd of Ovi haters continues to get bigger as he gets closer, and they really start to show their true colors. And their biggest thing is like, oh, all the empty net goals he gets this year and whatnot. If it was all about just tucking home goals and all about Ovi being a selfish player, how come a week ago we saw Ovi give up an empty net goal and pass it over to Alexi Protas to record his first career hat trick? Like, if Ovi really wanted it, he could have just fired into the empty net and been like, all right, I'm one closer. But instead, he dishes it over to his teammate so his teammate can get his first career hat trick. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you hate Ovi, sure, fine. But, I mean, the run he's on is incredible. And, the fact he's still being a team guy. And,
yeah,
and like you said, he just sells hard after goals. He just loves it. He's just having fun out there still.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, like, Ovechkin, of all people, to call him an empty net goal merchant is kind of weird. Like, he scored quite a few of them this year, but like, it's right there to just call him a power play merchant. And like, okay, so he's the best in history to score on the power play. You got his ass. Like, it's not even a good argument, right? But like, at least like, I would agree he's a power play merchant, but somebody's got to score on the power play. He's the best at it. Like,
yeah.
But like, it's funny when he's, for years that's been his thing, just crushing him on the power play, and now he scores a couple on empty nets in this season, and everyone's, oh, that's all he's about. It's like, okay, like, we don't need to make a narrative starting at goal 860. Like,
yeah. But again, we'll probably come back to this next week, as I imagine over the weekend Ovi we'll pod another goal or two, and we'll be talking about him being 6 or 5 away or something, maybe even 4 or 3. Who knows, right?
Most likely. I think they have 2 games against Chicago left or something like that. Ooh. Or no, I think it's 2 against the Islanders, which very good chance he breaks it against them. They love having records set against them.
That is, I was gonna say the Islanders have been playing a lot better as of late now, and their goaltending has been good. But yeah, you know what? If anyone's to get a milestone, if anyone's to get a first career, goal, assist, hat trick, whatever, usually it is coming against the Islanders. So, actually, I was reading a fun stat the other day. We were talking about it, the trade deadline, and the Islanders, their big move was trading Brock Nelson, and obviously the big return they got from Colorado. The great forward prospect Islanders got, Callum Ritchie. He played 7 games for the Avalanche before being sent back down to juniors this year. He recorded 1 goal in those 7 games, and it is against his now team, the New York Islanders. So he's already on track
right?
to, he can end up being one of those guys to have a goal against every team if he spends the next, 15 to 20 years with the Islanders, as he's already ripped that Band-Aid off and got it out of the way. You mentioned Capitals first team to clinch playoff berth. Chicago. you did mention their name, officially eliminated from playoff contention. Um, to nobody's surprise,
Yep.
we knew it was coming, and now we know that it is official that Chicago once again will not be in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're it it like kind of feels early, but at the same time, like we're in like they're so far down in the standings. Like we're nearing the we're like a week and a bit away from it being April. So it's almost surprising that teams haven't been eliminated and clinching playoffs earlier than this, but
Like some
in the
teams have hit
next
the 70 game mark already.
yeah, like in the next few episodes we're going to be listing a lot of teams that are either clinching or being mathematically eliminated, and yeah,
Yeah.
Chicago is the second of many coming here pretty quick. um oh, never mind, I was going to bring up a stat about Chicago, but it looks like it was wrong.
Ah, happened to me many times. So
I've
um
been baited.
brush this one off out of the way. John Tavares recording career point number 1,100 to add on to his legendary career as he continues to chase a Stanley Cup. Assuming he's going to keep being with the Toronto Maple Leafs after this year, but this is a big year. This is a big year for Tavares to, really go out there. He's been playing absolutely phenomenal this year, and a talking point that no one's really bringing to the table, and I think should be addressed is with John Tavares getting stripped of the C and whatnot, how just incredible he has been, both on and off the ice for this team, and how he is just looking more rejuvenated. He's just looking like it's just not as much weight on his shoulders. He's just can go out there and just you know do his thing every night, and he has been um, excelling on both ends of the ice, and I think that's really worth noting. Just how much he's risen to the occasion when you know he kind of got knocked down a peg or two, and he's really stepped up for the team, and I think that is really really worth noting.
Yeah, and like I'm still, I know we talked about this several months ago at this point, back when it happened in the summer, but I'm still of the belief, he didn't I would love to know how he views it, and I don't think we'll ever hear about it until he's at least retired, because why would he say it while he's playing with the team? But I would love to know whether he feels he got stripped of the C, or whether he feels it was his time to hand it over, or if he wanted to, uh, I would love to know how he feels about how that went down. But yeah, dude has been an absolute
Yeah, but
workhorse
probably
for
won't ever
this
know
team
until
and the
he.
Islanders. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably not. Like,
and it's
uh,
a big year though. Like the way he's playing right now. Um, Last year of his deal, I do expect him to resign, but you look at the Leafs, and it's one of those years where it's if you don't get it done this year, you it might be it with your core. It really might. So it's a big year. It's a big year for the Leafs. Big year for Tavares, and I'm very curious to see, how Toronto keeps playing down the stretch, and ultimately, what's their first round matchup look like? Um, are they going to go up against a Tampa or a Florida, or do they find their way into that number one spot in the Atlantic and take on a wild card team, which definitely would isn't going to be an easy task for them, as it very well could be Ottawa. And that'd be a
which
great first round matchup.
that
That'd be
would
a
be
great
great.
matchup.
The only reason I don't want to see it is because that would mean that there's a Battle of Florida going on, and I want to save that for round two.
Yeah, can't
Um,
can't even happen in round three. Only round two.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it can only happen in round two, right? Would it be able
Yeah.
to happen in round three? Okay.
No. No.
Um, I'm gonna hit you with this real quick. I feel like I know the answer. It seems rather obvious to me at this point. Is John Tavares a Hall of Famer?
I think so.
I would agree. I would agree.
In my opinion, I think so.
1,100 points, 15 goals away from 500. Like, I mean,
Should have an
captain,
Art Ross. Should have
yeah,
an Art Ross, but Jamie Benn
ca-
just went fucking nuclear in that final game of the season.
captained the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, that's insane itself. So I definitely think at this point he's solidified himself. Like that's a lot of points. Never scored 100 in a season either. Like this guy has been really, really consistent. And like you said, he's already tied. Like he's at 62 games played, so 18 less than last year. He's only 5 points back of what he did last year, and he's tied for goals already. Like he is not aging production wise at all yet. So
Yeah.
you know what? We were talking recently about guys who could maybe go for a run at the all times game played. Like obviously that's pretty damn difficult. It's an outside shot, but you know, 34 years old, John Tavares, by the end of the season, he'll be getting kind of close to that 1,200. Depends how his game ages, but
No. Don't get me
it's
wrong, I love Tavares, but the thing is, and
it's
it was
possible.
one of the biggest things I was saying when we were talking about it is the skating, and that has always been Tavares's weakest
Yeah.
area. Like he excels in everything else, but his skating has always been um and no disrespect to him, like he's still a great player in the league, but his skating has always been a
Yeah.
little bit under average, I would say. And that's kind of the first thing to be on the decline as you start to get up there in age. Like you see lots of guys that can still play despite their skate not being good because they see the ice so well, their skill is so good.
Yeah.
But eventually you hit a wall and a point where no teams are reaching out to because they just can't afford to have you out there 5-on-5 when the skating gets bad. But in all areas of the game, in terms of total goals, assists, points, games played, Tavares is going to continue to just keep climbing those lists for the next few years, and I do believe it will be with Toronto. I don't think he leaves.
I don't think he leaves either, but I think I look at it as more of a possibility than most people do. I feel like a lot of people are like locked in, he's staying, like no matter what, he's staying. No matter what they offer him, he's going to stick around. And I'm like, guys, he's going to end the season with 35-ish goals and 70-ish points, like possibly a little more than those. Like if they offer him, hey, stick around for 3 years at 2 mil, like he's
Tampa Bay
probably going
Lightning deal,
elsewhere. Like yeah, he's probably
CBL
going
deal.
elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing.
That's the Connor Sheary deal. That's a
Saying
special.
um saying Tavares stays with Toronto, it is with the assumption that the Leafs are going to make him a fair offer.
Can they afford a fair
Maybe they
offer on
don't.
John Tavares?
I mean, I think so at this point because he is making 11 mil. The thing we love to just jerk off nonstop. The cap is going up. Um,
It's an important
and
part of
and
it.
he's probably going to take it. Like Tavares at this point can't ask for 10 mil, and I think he knows that. I think
Yeah.
if Toronto offered him, a 3-year deal, 7.5 to 8, I think he would take that all day. He's kind of made
I think he would as well. For
his
sure.
big payday, and now he's like, all right, you know what? I want to stay here. I want to win here. I'll take a little bit less, but put a good team around. Let's keep a good team built up around here. Let's keep trying to go for it. But yeah, if they offer him a 3-4 year deal at like 3 to 4 mil or something, he probably leaves. So it is with the
And
assumption that
yeah.
they make him a fair offer.
Yeah. I do love that we're so on the same page with that because those, like all the numbers you said, are basically exactly my thoughts. Like if they offer him 3 years, 7 to 8 mil ish, he'll stay, and that's about what he's worth. Like that's good value still, especially for such a good leader. But I see a lot of Leafs fans, especially online, saying that they're going to offer him an 8x2 or an 8x3, and he'll take it with open arms. And I'm like, he's still producing pretty well. Like that, he's made a lot of money. It's his childhood team. I get all that, but like, you know, at, it also rubs you the wrong way to get offered that. Not
Yeah,
just
you still want to be
not
in
just the
shape.
money you're losing, but also it's kind of like, what the hell, man? Like, yo,
Yeah.
after everything I've done, like getting sewered like that. So, you know, we'll see. I imagine they will keep him, but it also very much depends on what goes on with Marner. But it
Yeah.
does sound like it's all but figured out that Marner not necessarily is leaving Toronto, but he is wanting to test free agency. So I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to get an 8-year deal done with Marner.
Yeah, no. I think Marner's gone, in my opinion. I really do. I think based on the fact that he's probably going to want a bit more of a raise, looking around at, what other players are starting to makes a little, wanting to make a little bit more than what he's making right now. And again, I think people say, oh, it doesn't matter. I think it matters a lot to a guy like Marner where, he's put his blood, sweat, and tears, heart, and soul into this team. We've talked about how people love to dog on him in the playoffs. He's been one of Toronto's better playoff performers. And at the trade deadline, they ask him, hey, we want to trade you. Are you willing to waive to go to Carolina? And I think that does matter to a guy like Marner again, where he's put everything into this team, and they were okay moving him.
Yeah.
So I think at this point he's earned the right to test free agency if he wants to, and yeah, go up there and just get that bag. Team will probably overpay for him.
Yep. It sounds like Carolina is still very interested in him. So that's definitely a spot to watch when free agency hits for him.
I don't know if he'd go to Carolina though. I don't
I
know.
it's hard to tell where he'd want to go, but same
And
time,
not not for the sole reason that, oh, he didn't waive to go there. I mean, he's on a good Toronto team, one of the better teams that Toronto's
I
put
don't think
together, and he's there, like,
I
why
don't
would he
think he would
wanna
have
jump
waived.
ship now?
He
Like,
wouldn't have
he wouldn't have
waived
waived
to
to go
go
anywhere,
anywhere. No.
unless it was to, like a Colorado or something, like a team that's or fuck, maybe even a
E-
Florida, like, just a team that is so very clearly, like, going all in to win this year.
Even them, like I don't know if he would have waived. I actually think there's not a single team he would have waived to go to for the last bit of this contract. Like, I think there's definitely a
Yeah,
lot of teams that he'll
maybe.
have an open mind to. All those ones you mentioned, he'll absolutely hear their offers in free agency, but, you know, randomly having it sprung on you, "Hey, waive to go here." I think there's 31 of 31 teams that he's saying no to.
I firmly believe that if there was a deal that he could have gone to Colorado and it's like, "Hey, are you willing to waive to go to Colorado to play with Nate and Makar?" He would have done it without even thinking twice. Again, there's not many teams, like Colorado might be like the only one.
It's probably the
Um,
best chance, yeah.
but yeah, that's gonna be another very interesting thing is, I can't remember the last time we've seen a name, you know, more in their prime and as big as a guy like Marner hitting free agency. So I'd love to see that happen.
Uh, Not to mention, like, obviously he's doesn't look old or anything, doesn't play old, but he's been around the league so long, it feels like, that it's very easy to forget. This guy's 27 years old, man. This guy's young. Like
He might not have even hit his prime yet.
I was gonna say,
Like,
if he's not currently in his prime, it's probably ahead of him. So yeah, he's gonna command some serious money when he gets to free agency. And I'll tell you what, a team that just opened up a lot of cap space. I'd love to see Marner setting up Pasternak. Well, actually, I would despise that, but it would be really cool to see from an outside perspective. Watching
um,
hockey,
I mean, yeah.
that would be
Thing is,
crazy.
that'd be such a Boston thing to do, though. Just go after the big name and not even address what their biggest issues are, which
Yeah,
is their horrific center core, like
yeah.
bad. Um, but you know, something to keep an eye on, and definitely throughout the playoffs. If Toronto goes out round one, oof, doesn't help your chances of bringing back Marner. Let's move over to another Canadian team, the Edmonton Oilers. We actually now know, as of a couple minutes ago, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are both out for at least 1 week. We know
Ooh.
Stuart Skinner left the game yesterday. It sounds like it was just due to concussion spotters. It doesn't sound like he's out for any time. He was just pulled due to concussion spotters, and um, just wasn't enough time to get back into the game and whatnot. But with Edmonton, I mean, this is what we talk about when you rely on two guys to carry the weight of that entire team. It weighs on them, and
They're
we're
both
seeing
out
that
with
now
back
here. So
injuries,
hopefully,
probably from carrying the team.
yeah. So
Like,
hopefully it's nothing long term for these guys. If anything, um, probably is going to hurt Edmonton's chances of maybe getting home ice in the playoffs. At least in the first round.
yeah,
But you got to look at it. Hey, maybe you're going to have a healthier McDavid and Draisaitl potentially after some rest come playoff time, assuming the injuries
I
aren't that
yeah,
serious.
I was gonna say it really has like one of two vibes, you know? It really feels like this is gonna be that story that people look back on after they win the cup and be like, man, mid late March, both of our stars go down, all is lost, and then they came back with a vengeance and they crushed the playoffs, or maybe it's just, yeah, that was the year where we got injured and our two best players got injured, and how do you come back from it? Like, it's impossible to
Yeah.
tell which way it's going to go. And I have no idea what Draisaitl got hurt on, if that was a hockey player or not. I didn't see because he was already out of the game last night. He was day to day at that point. But McDavid's was kind of scary, and not in the normal sense where it's a big booming hit and it's, oh shit, that looks bad. No, so he was skating up the ice. He bumped into, I can't even remember who, and they
Josh
didn't.
Morrissey.
Josh Morrissey. Morrissey didn't even really hit him. McDavid didn't hit
Morrissey
him. They
gave
didn't
him
even fall
a
down. Like,
Morrissey gave and I didn't even bother engaging with Edmonton fans, but um, Morrissey gave McDavid a tiny little cross check. Like it wasn't
oh, did
much,
he?
and it was on the ribs, but that's not what McDavid grabbed immediately, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, he kind of grabbed his hip. It looked like he,
Groin area,
yeah. Which I mean,
like
for
that's
a guy who's like, I would anyone ever argue that he's not the greatest, at least skater that we've ever seen in the sport? A
yeah.
groin injury could be pretty scary. So hopefully,
Draisaitl is undisclosed. McDavid is lower body.
yeah. So hopefully both of them get completely healthy in the next week and a bit. But it's looking rough right now. And Stuart Skinner as well leaving the game. We'll see what goes on with that. But goaltending's already been an issue. We'll see who their third stringer ends up being for, which will be their backup for the next little bit, maybe, depending if Skinner comes back right away. But
Here,
yeah,
and here's the thing
that's
with
rough for the Oilers.
here's the thing with Edmonton, right? Is they only have 2 points. They're only 2 points up on the Kings. The Kings do have 2 games in hand. But here's the thing with Edmonton. It's kind of the thing I didn't like about their trade deadline. I was fine with the moves they made, but it didn't really address what the team, you know, needed more than anything.
They didn't get a
Um,
goalie.
well, goalie first of all, but pick. We'll use Tampa Bay just for fun, for argument's sake here.
Oh, hell yeah.
So you look at Tampa Bay's top point scores. You have Kucherov 96, Hagel 75, Point 66, Gensel 64. Three of those guys have 30 goals. Kucherov's at 29. Victor Hedman's at 53 points. Sorelli at 49. So you've almost got 6 guys over 50 points. You've almost got 4 30-goal scorers, and you can do this going through a bunch of teams. But you go and look at Edmonton, and it's Draisaitl 101, 49 goals, beast. McDavid 90 points, 26 goals. But then the drop off: Bouchard 54, Nugent Hopkins 45, Hyman 41, and
Yeah.
then Jake Wallman 35, who you got the deadline. Pretty much all his points came from being with San Jose, so it's hard to tell with that one. And then Ekholm at 30. Like you've got Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman. Your big four for your forwards. The next closest is Connor Brown with 24 points in 69 games. Like
Yikes.
on paper, it looks like a deep team, but when you look at the just the raw numbers that these guys are putting up, like who carries the workload for your forwards without McDavid and Draisaitl? And you can make that argument with a lot of teams, but specifically with Edmonton, where
It's the most glaring with them for
You know,
sure.
Nugent Hopkins isn't a 100-point, 70-point power play guy this year. Zach Hyman's not a 50-goal guy this year. Like, you've got some guys that are really gonna have to pick it up and, like, now. You don't wanna run the risk of and for Edmonton, home ice is huge. We know how massive home ice is for them in the playoffs, but with how close it's starting to get, like, there's a possibility where with the games in hand and whatnot, you could go from sitting pretty in second in the Pacific to not only being down to third, but very well playing Vegas round one.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would hope to just play the Kings and wipe the floor with them once again, but there's a outside chance that you could be going up against Vegas. There's Vancouver's not going to jump you. I don't think you got to worry about that. Like, you're still in the top 3 in the Pacific, but like, that's tough.
Yeah, like they really do need depth goal scoring. And it's not even like they haven't necessarily gone and tried to get it, you know? They go out and they get guys like Victor Arvidsson, Jeff Skinner, hell, even Evander Kane. And obviously Kane's been on IR all year, but like so many of these guys just aren't working out for them. Like,
Jeff
is it
Skinner, who will finally play in a playoff game as well, maybe. As long
yeah,
as he doesn't get scratched or anything. He's
could
on
you
track
imagine
for
they
the playoffs.
Can you imagine they go on a losing streak and fall out of the playoffs? That's
I don't
brutal.
think it's going to happen,
I
but I mean,
I
fuck it.
very
Without
much doubt
McDavid
it.
and Draisaitl, and that's the thing, right? When we were gassing up Edmonton going into the year, we're like, man, you can just run with Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman. Like, it worked last year. It'll work. You put whoever with McDavid, it works. But we were so excited about Draisaitl finally having wingers in Arvidsson and Skinner. I mean, Jeff Skinner, 23 points in 59 games. He's been a healthy scratch a lot as of late. Victor Arvidsson, 22 points in 54 games. Like,
That's it's almost like he's had a worse supporting cast this year. Like that's absolutely
yeah.
insane.
One
How
and
many
one thing,
players how many players do they have over 30 points on that team?
just in total,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Except one of those being Jake Wallman, where again most of his points were with San Jose. So in terms of, like, core Oilers guys coming in this year, 5.
Yeah. And like, you know,
Oh,
because
sorry,
we were
6.
using as a
6. Sorry, 1, 2. Yeah, 6.
like as a just as a comparison, like Tampa has 6 players that have 20 goals alone, not even points. Like you need, and I'm sure if you look at, I got to imagine Toronto has a bunch. I got to imagine Florida has a bunch, like Vegas. Like you need you need scoring from throughout the lineup. Otherwise, it's going to be heavy hitting and 5 defensive specialists when your best guys are out there. And even if they don't fully shut them down, they're going to shut down McDavid and Draisaitl enough that they can now score on uh, Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner. Like
Mhm.
you, you're only playing good teams when you get to the playoffs, and it's it's so tough to
Um,
do it when it's only 2 guys really producing.
do you have Edmonton's lines pulled up here?
I can.
Yeah, if you want to just pull them up here quickly.
All right, got him.
What's Edmonton's third line?
So their third line, it will look a little bit different than it normally would, just because they do already have Draisaitl pulled out of the lineup here. But currently, it is Max Jones on the left wing, Kasperi Kapanen on the right wing, centered by Adam Henrique.
Like, that's not. And again, yeah, like, it's obviously looking a little bit worse because guys are kind of having to play up in the lineup without Draisaitl. But you look at Dallas, third line of Jamie Benn, Evgeny Dadonov with Wyatt Johnston in the middle.
Like,
Colorado, you've got Ross Colton, Yoel Kiviranta with Charlie Coyle in the middle. Vegas, Nicholas Waugh, Riley Smith with William Karlsson in the middle.
every one of those lines throttles this one. Dallas is
Look, even
especially
the
like takes
even
their
the LA
lunch money
Kings,
and locks them in a locker.
even the
Like
LA Kings, who is a very realistic matchup again. Warren Fogle and Trevor Moore with Philip Deneau in the middle.
that's way better.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, Oilers fans were hyped about the Jake Wallman pickup, which I think Jake Wallman has been a good fit with the Oilers. I think great, but did you really need him? No. Would you have been better off grabbing maybe a third pair defenseman and going out and getting a second line forward or something? Probably.
Yeah.
'Cause your forward depth is what, and the goaltending, we've gone over that enough. We don't need to go down that hole. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Oilers look over the next couple. Well, at least a week with McDavid and Draisaitl out, and see who can step up and kind of take over the charge of leading the offense for him.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Jeff Skinner's been scratched several times this year. Currently, he's on the first line. He was on the first line with McDavid last night. Like they have so little top end talent outside those two guys that he's either scratched or playing on with McDavid or Draisaitl on the first or second line.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah, like it's tough. It's tough.
yep. But hopefully both
You
those
know who
guys get
Edmonton
healthy.
could need? I saw
Hit
you
hit
put
him.
it in here.
Yeah.
I'll let you do
Uh,
it. This is all you.
Dylan Holloway is a perfect player for for the Edmonton Oilers. Too bad they could have had him. And they wouldn't even have had to pay him that much, man. St. Louis really didn't give him a huge deal on that offer sheet. But Dylan Holloway has been absolutely great this year for the Blues. He at the moment he has 48 points in 48 games since Jim Montgomery became the head coach of the St. Louis Blues. And that's, I mean, what a kick while they're down on the whole conversation we just had with the Oilers. Like that's brutal to lose a guy like that because like what did they even give him? Was it like was it in the 2 million range?
Yeah, Edmonton got a third round pick in compensation.
Yeah, like that's man, that's tough. Yeah, on the so he's got 48 and 48 with Jim Montgomery as the head coach over the entire season. He's got set in 70 games played, 56 points, 23 of them goals. He's a plus 15. Like man, that's 23 years old, born in Calgary, Alberta. Like dude, this is a player that they knew he was good too and they could have used him. I can't believe they just let him go.
And even Philip Broberg has been
He's
excelling.
he's been
Like
pretty damn
they've
good
both
for him
been
too.
really good with the Blues. And the worst part is Edmonton gets a second and a third for those guys. Two guys that you could really use right now. And you take that second and you use it to get a rental in Trent Frederick, who hasn't even played for you yet, by the way. He's still
Yeah,
out injured.
I forgot they even got him, to be honest. That'll be a nice addition once he starts playing, I guess. But like, yeah, Broberg as well. 57 games played. 7 goals, not bad for a defenseman.
Scored
22
in
points.
overtime yesterday for the Blues.
Yeah, on a nice move on the goalie, too. Absolutely froze him. He's a plus 13 on the season. Like, again, 23 years old. Dude, they could have locked those two in long term and like tried to kind of, build any identity out of just being like the guys desperately doing everything they can for McDavid. Like,
Yeah. I
obviously, you
do
build the
wonder.
team around McDavid, but you can build other pieces up and like sign them long term as well. Like, I feel like a lot of people think like, you know, when McDavid's got like 4 years left on his contract, it's like, okay, other than Draisaitl, you can't sign anybody longer than 4 years. It's like, yes, you can. They're all separate contracts. If you get a
It's
good
just
deal on a guy,
mind blowing that they didn't. They let St. Louis offer sheet and steal Holloway and Broberg, and you basically just took that money that you could have given to these guys, and you just go and you get again guys that we talked about have been struggling this year, and Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson. Like
yeah.
You could have just taken that money and put it right towards Holloway and Broberg instead.
Oh, though that's
I wonder
rough.
if we
Like,
see more teams offer sheet after this, though. Seeing how well
I
Holloway
hope
and
so.
Broberg are playing,
Why
like, I
not?
wonder if more teams are like, "Fuck, maybe we should start offer sheet and, like, find a team that's in a tough spot with the cap and try
A
and
lot of
poach a couple guys for cheap and watch them excel here."
Yeah, a lot of teams that don't offer their RFAs extensions right away are teams that need to fight for every dollar because they're up against the cap because they're probably competing. And they've got so much going on. It's very difficult for some of them to fend off these offer sheets. And like, we saw it with the Oilers and it wasn't even huge contracts. Like both of them.
The Broberg one, a little bit expensive at
Broberg was a bit
4.5.
more.
I kind of get that, but, like,
Yeah,
Holloway 2.29 for 2 years? How
that's
do you not
brutal.
match that? That's a former first round pick of yours who we last year in the playoffs, we were really starting to see him we're starting to see the signs of him breaking out and seeing what kind of player he can be.
Yeah, like I don't I can't believe I definitely would have if I'm an Oilers fan would have wanted at the time, even more so now, for them to keep both of them, but at least keep Holloway, man. 2.29, you couldn't find that much room. Like
Yeah.
was Stan Bowman in charge when this happened?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Uh uh did not match the offer sheet tendered by the Blues on August 13th. So they would have moved a week later on August 20th. He had to have been in.
Yeah, okay, so he would have been, yeah. Damn. Yeah, that's tough because again, it's kind of Holloway like Broberg aside, Holloway's exactly the type of player that the Oilers are, you know, kind of in need of, and to
Yeah,
have had it and let him walk out the door for again a third round pick.
yeah. July 24th
Yikes.
last year, Bowman was
Oh yeah.
named the
Yep.
general
So he
manager.
was
So he was around
yeah.
for a bit. Like, I get it. You're trying to get the Draisaitl deal done and all that, but like, he still needs two
You
line mates,
gotta
man. You got
focus.
people.
Yeah. You still got a whole other roster that you gotta fill out. Um, but we'll keep an eye on Edmonton. Hopefully they can stay afloat without McDavid and Draisaitl. Um Utah. Utah Hockey Club.
Utah, dude, killing it again. Maybe not as much as people would like on the ice, but considering they were the Coyotes last year, they're doing pretty good in the standings. But as far as an organization, they stay winning with the fans. Utah Hockey Club announces a $1 subscription to watch the rest of Utah Hockey Club season. That is, they have their own little streaming service set up now, their own website, and you for $1 you'll get access to freely watch all the rest of their games this season and the entire first round that they play in if they make it, which probably won't happen, but to add that in there is also nice. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty clutch by them to roll that out for their fans.
like for how expensive it can be to watch games, whether it's a streaming service or if you're watching on cable or however it is, and on top of that, there's usually blackouts in the States. Uh, to just hey, guaranteed the last, you know, 15-ish games, you can watch all of them for literally $1.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid. That's that's another win from the Utah ownership.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't really have much more to add on that. Couldn't agree more. I think it's a great move by them for their fans. Before we get into your last little stat here, and we got a couple things here to wrap up the episode. Earlier today, the Islanders signed top college free agent Gleb Veremayev, something like that. To a 2-year entry level contract. Don't really know too much about him as he did play over in the NCAA, so I don't know the ins and outs of this player, but people online are saying this is a big win for the Islanders. So take that at face value. It's another good young signing for the Islanders. But that is not the big news that we want to talk here about the Islanders, and not much to talk about it, just to highlight it on um, what an incredible player this guy is. Mike Riley played 11 games to start the season, and then we know he got hit high up and was diagnosed with a concussion. But it wasn't until he went in for concussion testing that he found out that this concussion actually did save his life. As he did, the doctors did find out, and he had to immediately undergo an emergency heart procedure. He only missed 54 games, and he's now back in the lineup for the Islanders, which I think is um, just absolutely incredible to go from, you get a concussion to find out that your life is at risk and you got to have this procedure done and you're back the same season. I think is really incredible for Mike Riley. So just want to, tip our cap to him on his recovery and, coming back. And from what I've seen, doesn't look like he's missed a step. He's looked just like he always has been with the Owls back out there. So
Yeah, I'm not sure which game it was recently, but I believe he came back, and in his first game back, he made a really nice stretch pass up to somebody on a breakaway who went in and scored. And I believe that stood as the game winner. It was a real nice play too. Like, he got possession, throws it up ice right on the guy's stick. Like that. I remember seeing that clip and being like, that does not look like a guy who just not only missed the majority of the season, like you said, freaking heart surgery. Like that's crazy. So, yeah, congrats to him, and he's looking great out there, man.
it's
I
been
love to
it's
hear
been a
stories like
wild
that.
it's been a wild season for the Owls as they no, they're still right in the hunt. They're still fighting. They're only 2 points back of Montreal for that last wild card spot. They are tied with the Rangers right now, but do have 2 games in hand. So Islanders making a late push here to try and sneak into the playoffs once again.
Yeah, and they're they're not the only ones, man. That entire East is really starting to get close. We've been talking about it for a long time, but the Sens have lost a few games. The Canadians go on a win streak. They're kind of right up in there. The Islanders start winning a bunch of games. The Rangers are in there. The Blue Jackets are on a horrible skid, but they are still in there looking at the points. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who makes the playoffs. And Islanders 6-3-1 in their last 10 on a 3-game win streak. They're currently tied with the Rangers in points and have 2 less games played. Like, they could do it.
Yeah.
I was very willing to write them off about a month ago. I thought they were cooked, but no, they're calling it back.
Hey, this team always finds a way to, keep winning and keep sneaking into the playoffs when maybe they shouldn't. But hey, that's kind of the identity that this team has had basically since Tavares has left. Is whatever the expectations are, they find a way to do even better than what is expected of them. You have one little thing. I'll let you just quickly rattle this one off. Goes a little bit off what we talked about last episode before we dive into our final segments here.
Yeah, so we were talking about it last episode, how Brandon Hagel was tied with Doug Smale for most goals in a season without a power play goal. And then he scored even strength last night, which puts him number one in that record. He stands alone now with 32. Alexei Protas still at 29, and like we said, not playing on the power play. So there's a very good chance that he will. I don't know if he's going to catch Hagel, but there's a good chance he passes Doug Smale as well, and they end up I think he did that in, I think it was like the 84-85 season or something. So it'd be wild if randomly this year, all of a sudden, it's 2 guys in the 24-25 season sitting 1 and 2 on that specific record there.
Yeah, it's an impressive record. And, at the end, it's one of those ones that he continues to keep adding on to with every goal he gets. Is no power play goals yet.
Yep, you love to see a 5v5 king, man.
You have some trivia.
I got a little bit of trivia here for you. So, what I'm looking at, and the main reason I wanted to do this one was to highlight who is number one. Who I don't know if you'll guess it right away, but you definitely, I think, will guess it at some point during this, and you definitely know that this guy's up there for it. Um, but I just wanted to quickly get. Maybe we'll do a bit of a timer here, and I just want to see if you can guess the top 10 so far this season hit leaders in the NHL.
Ooh, okay. Well, obviously number one is Kiefer Sherwood, and it's
Yes,
probably still not even close.
it's not even close. I'll give you a minute starting here in a second to try and guess the rest of the top 10, and then we'll go through some of the numbers. Okay.
All right.
Uh, all right. And you know what? Next time you put in your next guess, I will start the minute.
Okay. I've got a couple guys, so I can just start rattling them off. Luke Schen's got to be up there.
Luke Shen is up there. Yes.
Radko Gudas.
Gudis is up there. That's 3.
None of the Owls boys is there. All just not playing basically anymore. Um. Hmm. Who?
There's quite a few names that I expect. There's one or two that I didn't expect
Oh,
on here.
Olivier with Columbus.
Yep, Olivier's on there. Of course, of
Brempey
course.
wouldn't have played enough. Ryan Hartman. He's been suspended for a bit. Oh, well, I guess Marcus Foligno probably would be.
Hartman is not, but Foligno is.
Foligno is. Trying to think. Ooh.
5 seconds.
Who's the guy with the Rangers? Cooley. I know he's been racking up lots of hits.
And time. Cooley is also on there. Okay, so in only a minute, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's not bad. I think you mentioned a couple other guys, but I think Hartman's the only one you really guessed that wasn't on there. So like you went 6 for 7 on your guesses. So that's pretty solid. But
yeah, I'll take that.
So in ascending order, so starting at 10 and going up to number 1, we have Garnet Hathaway with 218 hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? He's also tied with Mark Kastelik and Paul Cotter at 218. Marcus Foligno at 219. Nathan Walker at 227. Radko Gudas at 234. Jack McBain at 238. Martin Pospisil at 252. Will Cooley at 256. Matthew Olivier at 258. Luke Shen at 260. So you notice how 5-2, there was a difference of 8. Pospisil was 252. Luke Shen was 260. Kiefer Sherwood, 383. Yeah. He has 123 more hits than the guy in second, who is comparable to everyone else at the top. Like his stats look like Wayne Gretzky point stats, but for hitting. Like it's unreal. He last night had 10 hits to get up to 383, and that ties the franchise record for a single season amount of hits with the Vancouver Canucks. And they still have 12, 13 games to go?
He's averaging 5.9 hits per game.
A wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Like that's so good.
I was thinking about maybe, I don't know if you can see, how close would Brady Tkachuk be? So I was just thinking of more like just kind of not really like, I was thinking more like the kind of the depth guys that go out there and just hit.
You know, he's like the only star that would be on this list. So I said how 10, 11, 12 are all tied at 218 with Hathaway, Kastelik, and Cotter. Brady Tkachuk is 13 with 215.
Okay, so he is right up in there.
So he's right up there, and he has missed a couple games recently for injury. So
yeah,
if he, I got to imagine 3 in a game is not difficult for him. So he probably would have been top 10 if he didn't miss a little bit.
They didn't miss those, yeah.
Yeah. The only
Yeah, man,
other
he for
real
sure would have
big name
been
up there is like Uyghur, Zadorov, and Trocheck are all in there from anywhere from
Tom Wilson
16 to
must be.
24.
He's
Oh,
got
Tom Wilson
somewhat
is on
of a
here.
chance. I was gonna say, yeah.
StatMuse doesn't have him with. He's not one of the guys who gets a picture. He is at 18.
Tough.
He has 191. He's no Tanner Jeannot. I'd give up picks for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That's good to highlight some of the more big hitters.
Yeah, just how
around the
close every player is near the top, and then Sherwood just dwarfs them is just crazy. And I just
Yeah.
really wanted to highlight that. Not to mention 15 goals, 29 points on the year. Like he's freaking doing it as well in the scoring department. 29 points in 65 games for a guy who goes out there and hits anything that moves. Only 31 penalty minutes. He's not taking many penalties. That's
It's a
genuinely
beast.
really impressive. That it's like a creative player. Like
Yeah,
you set
like,
you set his
just
aggression
looking
at
at these
99
numbers.
and then you put his discipline at 99. It's like, what?
Yeah, looking at these numbers is pretty incredible.
They don't really look real.
That was good. We love our guys that go out there and lay the body, so it's always good to highlight those guys. But Braden, we are in our final segment. This is a new segment we've got here. This is a new game I've got here for you.
Ooh.
I think this is the name you can use for it, but categories. So basically how this is going to work is, and this is actually one that everyone at home can play along with as well, as really easy to follow along with. So I've got a category of a certain topic and criteria.
Okay.
And I'll either have 5 teams or 5 players. And I'll list all of them off to you. And you have to try and figure out which player doesn't, or which player or team doesn't belong, and then what the category is that it fits under. So
Okay.
you get half a point for each one you get right. So if you figure out just the team or the player, but not the category, you get 0.5. If you get both, you get 1 point. Pretty simple. And we're going to be doing teams today. So the 5 teams I have for you is the Buffalo Sabres, the San Jose Sharks, the Washington Capitals, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the New York Rangers. You can talk me through your thought process. You got to figure out which team doesn't belong out of the 5 and what the reasoning is for why they don't belong.
Okay, so you said Buffalo, and I was like, it's probably them. It's probably teams that don't suck as much as Buffalo. Then you said the Sharks, and I got confused. Then you said a playoff team, and I got even more confused. Is there really any parameter to this? Like, is it kind of just team based, or can it be something like a player played for all 4 of these teams?
Yeah, just team based. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with individual players.
Okay.
Just solely as a franchise.
Okay. The Capitals, Golden Knights, the Sharks, the Sabres, and who was the other team?
Buffalo, San Jose, Washington, Vegas, and the Rangers.
And the Rangers, right. Okay, so I don't know. It's tough not knowing how specific it could be, because I'm sure you could single out any of the teams with
because these are a little bit tougher. I'll always give you one hint whenever you want, so you can always ask for a hint at any point. And I've got one hint I can give you.
Okay. My initial thought is maybe it's because I do know the Rangers and the Sharks. Obviously, Washington and Vegas have won a cup in recent memory. The Rangers and the Sharks have both gone to the finals in the past decade. If you count the Rangers as in the past decade, I believe that was 2014. So, like, it might be that the Sabres are the odd ones out and they haven't been to the Cup final in 11-ish years. But I don't know if that's specific enough, so I'll take a hint.
A hint. Since 2005.
Okay. All right. That does help because surely it wouldn't be 2005 if what I said was it. Since 2005, the San Jose Sharks have drafted Macklin Celebrini at number 1. Lafreniere was drafted number 1 by the Rangers. Ovechkin was drafted number 1 overall in 2004 by the Capitals. Darlene, Power, both first overall by the Sabres. The Vegas Golden Knights.
Remember, since 2005, though.
Yeah.
Ovi was 04.
So close with that one.
I get the thought process on, and I really like that one.
It's close. I was wondering if maybe there was some shenanigans there with like the lockout. Like, does he count as a 2005 draft pick?
No.
What
the
else?
Greatest goal scored does not count as a 2005. That is Crosby's year.
It was Crosby's year. Well, actually, Ovi won the Calder, so I guess it was kind of Ovi's year. But,
Oh, actually, he did, yeah.
What else could it be? Could it be President's Trophy? The Capitals have one. Vegas, I think, has one. Not 100% sure on that. Feels like they probably should. The Rangers have one, for sure. The Sharks, they were so damn good for so long. I kind of figure they did at some point, but I really don't know. I'm just assuming Buffalo doesn't. I feel like that's a pretty safe assumption. Or could it also be something like they had, each of these teams has had a Rocket Richard winner or something? There's a lot of ways it could go. I feel like it would be too obvious to do something playoff related and have the Sabres be the odd one out. That feels a bit too obvious.
It'd be a lot more bullying on Buffalo than we already do.
Yeah, like we don't need a whole trivia segment to say Sabres didn't make the playoffs.
We can just talk about them.
The only fan base that doesn't want to be talked about anymore.
Honestly, and fair. I can't even fault them at this point. What are you thinking here, though?
I was trying to think of any individual awards that each team's won, because they've got a Rocket and an Art Ross in San Jose. They've got... Has Ovi ever won an Art Ross? I assume so. He's got 3 Hearts and a million Rockets. I don't know if he ever won the Art Ross. But...
He must have.
I don't...
won, right?
Yeah, no, some of those teams don't have Vezinas.
He does have an Art Ross. He's got one. 2007, 2008 season.
Yeah, that's the year with like 65 goals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to not put up points when you're burying it that hard.
Yeah, he won the Art Ross, the Hart, the Maurice Richard, and the Lester B. Pearson.
The Lester B.
That is now...
That's now the Ted Lindsay, right?
Hey, that was the last year of it as well, before they changed it.
Oh, interesting. I really don't know. This is tough. I heard the idea and I was like, I feel like I could probably figure it out relatively easily. As soon as you get the team names, it's like, fuck, that's a wide net. That's broad. Since 2005.
I will tell you, though, because you are going down that path, it's got nothing to do with individual player awards.
Okay.
If that was stressing you out, you don't need to go down that rabbit hole. It's just specifically the team.
Okay.
Not any players as a part of it.
You know what? I'm gonna go back to one that I mentioned earlier. I kind of forgot about it for a bit, but I was trying to remember it. I'm gonna go with. It feels a little too obvious, but I'm gonna say the Sabres are the odd team out, and my reasoning will be that hoping that all the other four teams have won a President's Trophy as the
Final
top team
answer,
in the
locking
regular
it in.
season. I'm locking it in.
The San Jose Sharks won the President's Trophy in 2009.
They did.
The Washington Capitals have won the President's Trophy 2010, 2016, 2017. The New York Rangers won the President's Trophy in 2015, and we know last year in 2024.
Vegas is the one I wasn't sure about.
The Vegas Golden Knights won a Stanley Cup, while the Buffalo Sabres won the President's Trophy in 2007.
Wow. So it was the President's Trophy, but it wasn't the Golden Knights.
President's Trophy winners since the lockout.
Damn. Great pick.
You got 0.5. You got the category. Just not the one. Yeah, that's why I threw the Sabres in next. I was like, that's a sneaky one. I totally forgot that they had
that's
that
awesome.
That President's Trophy.
No, yeah,
what a fall.
Early on in it, I think I mentioned the President's Trophy thing, and then I got stuck on the individual awards, and I was like, I know I was thinking of an award, but I don't think it was an individual award. I couldn't get back to it, but that.
Yeah, I gave you that hint because this is just the team as a whole. No, if it was going to be something with individual awards, I would give out players.
The player one. Okay.
Maybe it would be players next time.
Okay. I thought it was just like, it might be if a team had a Rocket winner or something, but as soon as I thought of that, I was like, I figured surely in, 2020 or one of those years, I figured Vegas probably won it, and Buffalo winning the Presidents was not on my radar either. So that's a real good swerve. Like, I'm trying to think, if you picked another team, like what other top teams could you have picked other than Vegas? Would I have still picked them, or would I pick Buffalo? But any of those top teams, like I probably would have picked them again.
Yeah, because I was going through and I was
Sabres.
Trying to think of top teams I could go with, and couldn't go with Florida, couldn't do Colorado, couldn't do Boston, Tampa, like all those teams. I couldn't even
have the Hurricanes.
No,
they've had 2 cup windows since 2005. So
no.
That definitely would have got me as well.
Yeah, no presents for them.
That's strange. They seem like one of those teams that, like, even without a cup, they'd have like 2 or 3 President's trophies.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Season's not over yet. They're on an 8-game win streak.
They are. They're actually playing really well as of late. Carolina's starting to look, from a team that had a horrific trade deadline to, straight up kind of being crybabies. They've been incredible. They look really good. I did watch them just wallop San Jose yesterday, and I do have to say that Carolina's starting to look really good. They're on the rise here.
Does that mean you got to see the candidate for goal of the year from was it Eklund?
Oh yeah,
the ass goal.
Hey, you know what? Brent Burns is still getting assists in San Jose, so
it's amazing. They don't ask how, they ask how many.
But you actually did the reverse. I thought you were going to get the team, and I didn't think you were going to get the category, but instead you got the category, but not the team. So you know what? I'll still give you a round of applause. Well done. Points on the board. Still points on the board.
Hey, you know what? It's fun to not win every time on trivia and these games, right? You gotta keep it fresh. If you just win every time, it doesn't feel as much like a challenge. So you know what? Gives me something to go for next time. And congrats to you at
to
home
those.
if
I was
you
gonna
got
say,
it.
if
Because
any listeners ended up getting it right, props to you. Let us know. Reach out to us on any of our socials. Again, you know where they are. I'm not gonna rattle it off to you. You know the links. Go click them. Come over. Come talk hockey. Braden, it is that time before we wrap it up for a good weekend of NHL action. Final thoughts.
Columbus has scored. Is it 1 goal in 4 games?
They had a 4-game homestand, and one goal. 1 goal
Columbus,
for.
like 32 out of 32 fan bases are rooting for you to get the playoffs. The only teams, fan bases that aren't, are the ones directly competing with you for that final playoff spot. Please make the
And they want you
playoffs.
to make
Turn
it
it
if they
around.
don't. If they don't make it, they're hoping you're the team that does.
Yeah, 100%. Like, Jackets, please turn it around. Everyone wants to see this magical run that you've been going on get you into the playoffs. It would be such a feel-good moment. I am pulling for the Blue Jackets, something fierce to get back into a playoff spot.
We're all pulling for the BJs.
Always am.
But that will wrap it up for this episode once again. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you out on the ice on Tuesday next week.